What do you do when you visit a town and most of the attractions are destroyed? How do you talk about 5 must-see places when there seems to be nothing there? That's what happened to my wife and I. We visited the town of Las Piedras in the eastern part of Puerto Rico. Little did we know that Hurricane Maria had done such a number on it. City Hall was in ruins. The main square is closed. And the Immaculate Conception Parish, La Parroquia de la Inmaculada Concepción, was also a mess. Come to think of it, Hurricane Maria made landfall in Yabucoa, which is the town south of Las Piedras. So the destruction in this town must have been terrible. At first, we drove around town trying to find something to film. We ran into an area where the houses are painted in bright colors. Nice, but nothing to write home about. Then we hit the mother lode. We found a place so amazing that we dedicated the entire video to it. Just to give you an idea, our first trip was Monday. However, when we got there, they were closing, so we returned on Friday just for a VIP tour. You'll be amazed at what we found in the little town of Las Piedras, Puerto Rico. Las Piedras is a small town located in the central eastern region of Puerto Rico. It's north of Yabucoa, south of Canóvanas and Rio Grande, east of Juncos and San Lorenzo, and west of Naguabo and Humacao. And in case you're wondering, it's a 45-minute drive from the San Juan Metroplex. On the morning of September 8th, I packed up my gear and returned to Las Piedras just to see one place. The Parque Ceremonial y Cueva del Indio. That's the ceremonial park and Indian cave in the King's English. With all due respect to the operators of the park and to all the other people that use this term, the name of this park is actually a misnomer. It should be Ceremonial Park and Taino Cave, because the term Indian was first used by Christopher Columbus because he was convinced that he had reached the Indies. The fact was that there weren't any Indians in the New World. What you had were native tribes. But I digress. This park is simply the best kept secret I've found in Puerto Rico when it comes to spectacular places. I mean, it's public knowledge. They have a Facebook page and they're even on Google. But no one on the island talks about it. When we got there, we met with Mr. David Velasquez, who spent over 2 hours showing us every inch of the park. There weren't any classes that day because our local government is dealing with the grueling heat wave caused by climate change, so my grandchildren tagged along for some quality time with Grandpa and Grandma. And how did this whole park come about? How was it discovered? Did people know about it? Well, it was sort of an accident. But let's hear what our guide David had to say.
Aquí esto era finca agrícola y la gente de que estaban aquí sabían y se comentaba y la gente venían, pero no estaba bajo ninguna tutela, no estaba abierto así al público. En el año 1980, aquí detrás hay 4 organizaciones, esta gente compraron toda esta área y empezaron a explotar las piedras para hacer casa. Entonces el pueblo llega hasta aquí, se revuelcan, hacen una protesta y paran la construcción de esta área. Entonces obligan al municipio a que lo administre. El municipio no tenía fondos para comprarlo, así es que hacen un arrendamiento de 30 años para el municipio administrarlo.
This park is the only one of its kind in Puerto Rico, and possibly in the Caribbean. Why? Because it has 2 caves, a ceremonial center, a batey, and several additional features, all combined into one giant area. The others on the island only have one of those features. Either they have a ceremonial center, a batey, or a cave. Never all of them together. So what's the difference? Well, let's start with the ceremonial center and hear what our guide David had to say.
Esto es un centro ceremonial. Aquí era que se bailaba el areito. Se prendía un fuego en el medio, se bailaba el areito y se hacían las distintas ceremonias para celebrar algún evento importante, como ganar guerrillas, como buena cosecha, como un nacimiento, como una muerte, como un matrimonio. Pues esos eventos importantes y eventos a agradecer a las divinidades, pues se hacían aquí.
And in case you're wondering, according to Wikipedia, an areito is a kind of rhyme or romance that our Taino ancestors sang and danced to at the same time. The inspiration was in their daily stories that were sung in chorus or individually by an individual, whose mission was to guide the dance and or the story, which the others simply repeated. So basically, it was their way of communicating current events. The ceremonial center was controlled by the tribe's shaman, who was their spiritual leader. Several noticeable aspects of the ceremonial center at Las Piedras are the giant manatee stone, the shaman stone, and the butterfly stone. Even today, 500 plus years after the fact, there are still abundant butterflies in the area. The batey is the larger venue controlled exclusively by the cacique, or the tribe chief. Here the Taínos played a game very similar to modern-day soccer called batu. The one in Las Piedras is intact, with the noticeable difference that the grass has grown in the playing field. But you can see where the cacique and his protectors used to sit, as well as the exact place where they would manufacture the batu balls out of plant roots and tree resin. There are two caves at Las Piedras. The larger of the two was where the Taínos would take refuge in case of attacks or hurricanes. We didn't enter that one because the entrance was wet and slippery, but I did do my best to shoot as much footage as possible. Then we visited the smaller one, which our guide David calls the library because of the enormous number of petroglyphs found inside. As we approached, David gave us sort of the lay of the land, if you will.
Allá hay un asiento quejero, allá hay un asiento quejero, aquí arriba hay un asiento quejero, aquí en el piso hay un asiento quejero y aquella piedra tiene dos asientos de quejero. Esa piedra estaba allá arriba y se cayó y aquello que está ahí son dos asientos. Y este que está aquí es un asiento. Estos eran los quejeros que vigilaban la entrada de la cueva, porque por aquí entraban todos los indios para bajar a la que está allá abajo.
A few seconds later, we were inside the cave, and David gave us some amazing descriptions of what we were looking at.
Ok, esta piedra tiene 178 petroglifos. Aquí vemos uno. Esta es una cara, tiene coraje. Aquí tenemos armamento de queja, una quejilla, perdieron, tiene coraje. Aquí vemos otro. Este está contento, la sonrisa está contento. Una bola de jugar el batú, un batey, un juego, ganaron, está contento. Por ahí tenemos mariposa. Por ahí tenemos un montón de petroglifos. Con la luz se ve menos, pero para la luz te hace falta para...
Sí. La luz se la tiene que poner de lado, Soraya. Si se la pone de frente...
Aquí tenemos un huracán grande. Acá tenemos una tormenta, otra tormenta. Aquí tenemos cara, un niño por allí, animales, insectos y demás. Allá tenemos una carabela. Y abajo tenemos diferentes rayas y signos que significan las quejillas que ellos tuvieron, cuánta gente murió, cuántas ganaron, cuántas perdieron. Aquí tenemos un conejito que ellos llamaban la jutía, que ellos comían. Aquí tenemos la cara de un guerrero, ahí tenemos caraya de nuevo, la luna, y por ahí para abajo hay un montón. Y ahora
aquí hay un sol.
Este que te voy a mostrar no es un sol.
No es un sol.
Todo el mundo confunde.
No es sol taíno, el
No,
de arriba, el de arriba.
todo el mundo confunde esto o cualquier cosa con sol. Los soles no tenían ojos ni boca. Esto tiene ojo y boca.
Ok, sí.
Esas cosas que están así significa algo vivo. Mire, esto tenemos aquí, una cabeza gigante, un cuerpo pequeño, brazos con 3 dedos, nariz y boca pequeña y los ojos bien grandes rasgados. Un objeto que lo alumbra todo el tiempo y que tiene 1, 2, 3 rayos nada más. 3 rayos nada más que entran a él. Lo que significa que él bajó aquí.
You can believe all of it, some of it, or none of it. but just listen and you'll be amazed. The Las Piedras Ceremonial Park and Indian Cave is truly a marvelous place, and David Velázquez makes it even more interesting with his profound knowledge of the place. And in case you're wondering, there are 2 additional attractions that people mention in Las Piedras that we decided to ignore. The first was Cerro Los Gatos, which requires a long and strenuous climb. And the second was Monte del Retiro, which was just up the road from La Cueva del Indio. Monte del Retiro is a private property where there are 3 enormous rocks with petroglyphs. However, the owner charges $15 per person just to go in, so we decided to pass. Finally, with all I've told you about the Las Piedras Ceremonial Park and Indian Cave, you probably must be thinking that admission is steep. 10, 15, 20, maybe even $30 per person? Well, you'd be guessing wrong because admission is free. That's right. So not only is this one of the most amazing places in Puerto Rico, but it's also free. My God! However, you can't just show up and walk right in. You need a reservation. After all, the entire park is run by one guy, so he has to schedule his time meticulously. Just call the number on screen and you'll be set. Creating a map to this place would have been convoluted because the place is out in the country. So instead, I suggest you just follow the coordinates that I posted at the beginning of this video. To get out, just follow this set of coordinates and they'll take you back to State Road 30. To get back to San Juan, just follow these and you'll get back to the Minillas Tunnel. And talking about San Juan, if you're planning to visit the old city, save yourself the hassle of traditional city tours. They're expensive and you'll be herded along with people that won't necessarily share your interests. Instead, order the Old San Juan Walking Tour. It's packed with useful information about all the main attractions, as well as every GPS coordinate and 2 hours of exclusive online video. That way, you'll be able to visit before you visit and hit the ground running when you arrive in the old city. See you next time.